The Boys Season 3. So yeah, I was a big fan of The Boys Season 1 and 2. I was late to watching it all. Granted, it's one of those shows you hear about, you hear it's really good, so you don't watch it. That's my logic. I don't watch stuff that people rave about. I have to really be, coerced into it. But yeah, I really enjoyed Season 1 and 2, so I was looking forward to 3 and seeing what it would bring. Unfortunately, I felt it wasn't as unique as the previous 2 seasons, and I also thought it was a little bit predictable and a little bit cliche at times, and it just didn't stand out like the other 2 did. I could actually sort of tell where the story was going. I felt like I knew how it was going to go, whereas in previous seasons, it was just a case of everything was, coming out of left field, right field. You just didn't know where you were going to end up. In terms of what was good about this season though, Homelander once again evolves to be such a fascinating character who just steals every scene. From season 1 to season 3, he's really going on a very interesting arc, and the fear he puts into everyone he crosses paths with is nerve-wracking to watch as a viewer, because you really feel like he could flip the switch at any point. And because The Boys doesn't really have any filter, you really don't put it past him to just kill someone who's like slagging him off at any point. No matter who they are, no matter if they're a main character or not, you feel like he could just do it. I enjoyed a lot of the new characters added this season as well, such as Soulja Boy. He felt like a real threat, and I kind of liked that he was unstable as well. However, I wasn't really a huge fan of the fact that, him and Homelander were meant to be related, because it wasn't a plot point that really felt that significant by the end, because it was just like, it was mentioned, it was thrown in there, and then it was just like, never mind. But regardless, I think he was a cool addition, and I like the build up to the fact that him and Homelander were going to fight. As for our group, our group of the boys, it wasn't as fun and dynamic as it has been in past seasons, because there were beefs thrown in here. Now, don't get me wrong, there have been beefs in the past. There's always been a bit of tension between these characters, even though they are always working to achieve the same goal. But these beefs just made, there wasn't much fun between them, not as much as there has been, and therefore it made time with them a little less enjoyable. And this was emphasised even more regarding Frenchie's character, because he had this whole subplot involving Nina, stuff from his past, which wasn't even fleshed out. And when watching, I couldn't actually figure out what she had on him, like why he was doing jobs for her, apart from the fact that she called him an obedient little dog who did whatever she said. So I was just confused by that, and I also didn't think that plotline added much. Like, maybe it developed him as a character slightly, made him toughen up a bit, but I don't think it was the way to do it, and I don't think it was that interesting. Butcher, on the other hand, is always a win. He's always funny, he's always, a great character. And I thought the use of him having temporary V was an interesting plotline. It was kind of cool to see Butcher with powers and how he would use them, and how he doesn't really have all that much control over it. But even so, I'm not even a big fan of the use of Temp V. I think it had its moments. I think it was cool at times to see characters we know that aren't soups become temporary soups, but even so, I just don't think it added loads. Even though, of course, it was essential to the plotline, if you know what I'm trying to say. I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I would kind of rather it wasn't a thing. But regardless, Butcher was definitely one of the, biggest, elements and best parts of this 3rd season, and I especially enjoyed the whole backstory thing, where we look back on the relationship with his father and his brother. I think that was very good, and it really did develop his character well. Huey and Annie as well, they were mostly like apart and on and off with their relationship, which has kind of got a bit tiring for me, so I enjoyed the parts where they were actually apart from each other. I enjoyed it when Annie was doing stuff, involved with the Seven, trying to do her own thing, and then when Huey was working with Butcher, I enjoyed them more when they were split, because they were always just so tense when they were together. As for the rest of the Seven, it was cool to see backstory on Noir, although the animation thing that they did with like the little cartoon animals, I thought it was a strange choice. It was a bit weird. I'm pretty sure that's to do with the animated show that they made after, but even so, I thought it just felt a bit weird in here. I know the boys do weird stuff, but it just did feel a little bit odd. I also did like the stories for Deep and A-Train. I kind of like how their characters have developed back into characters that you kind of root for in a weird way, even though they're not great people, but you do root for them again. I like the subplot involving A-Train and Blue Hawk, and I like the whole story with the Deep. It's just so weird with him, but he's very well portrayed, and it's very interesting to see. But ultimately, no one comes close to Homelander. Yeah, I don't know about season 3. It just felt like it needed to go in a different direction. It just felt a little bit predictable, and it just didn't feel like it was as unique as those older seasons, as I said, but it was still entertaining. There were some great episodes in here, such as the first episode of season 3, which just set up things very well, you know, with the head popper and all that. I thought that was very interesting, and I also enjoyed the Hirogasm episode. That was a very crazy episode, but it had everything you want from an episode of The Boys, and I thought it was very, very good. This was by no means a bad season at all. It's just the first 2 seasons setting quite a high bar, and this just felt a little lackluster, especially in a finale that didn't feel like it lived up to the build-up that came before it. It felt like there was so much build-up to get to this final point, and then it just didn't really slap like I thought it would. I thought it'd be a bit more dramatic. I thought there'd be more carnage and chaos from all this build-up, but it was very minimal compared to what we thought it was going to be. I did, however, love the final scene involving Homelander, where he lasers that guy in the street and everyone's just like, oh shit, but then everyone just starts like cheering and rooting for him, and it just shows like this crazy psychotic side to like these supporters of Homelander as well as Homelander, and then you see the smile on his son's face as well, and you just think, well, that is an interesting thing to leave the series on, because it goes to show that Homelander is going to feel like he can just kill people in public now. He doesn't need to hide that side of him. And the fact that his son's starting to enjoy that feeling, and the fact that you've got these supporters that are going to be all for that, so that could really set things up for real carnage in season 4. I think things are set up well for the next season, you know, with our group of the boys, with Homelander becoming more unstable, but it doesn't feel too different to where we were a season ago. Once again, it is the group, they want to take down Homelander. Once again, Homelander is becoming more unstable. They're just in slightly different positions, it feels like, to where they were before. Obviously, things have changed, but it doesn't feel like they've changed loads over the course of the season. You know, the end of season 2 and the end of season 3, characters are in a similar position. Regardless, this was still a very entertaining season of The Boys, you know, with great gore and, you know, wacky humor and just awesome action. It was very entertaining, and I would rate The Boys season 3 7.5 out of 10. I'm between 7.5 and 8. I'm kind of in the middle, but we don't go to 7.75. That's making things too complicated. So we're gonna go 7.5. If you've seen The Boys season 3, let me know what you think about it. Do you think it was not as good as the other seasons, or did you actually think it was the best? If you want to let me know, please let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.